If you want to manage your time better so that you can relax, enjoy your life, and spend time with your hobbies and family, but you're busy wondering and chasing clients with failed payments and automations in your membership, and you feel like the task list never ends. If you resonate with that, then today's video is just for you. Today's video will be about registered dietitians in private practice that are looking to manage their time better so that they can work less in their business. If you're wondering why is time management important for business owners, that's a great question. Time management is a life skill. Now, businesses that have better time management policies and procedures in their company are more likely to deliver their product or service on time with less errors, and that's going to create a better experience for your customers. To create a sustainable business, you want to make sure that you're on time when you deliver your products and services. That means you're communicating on time for customer service. If you do have a client with a failed payment, you have a policy and procedure that you or your team are executing on time. And in order for all of the things to work, whether you're a solopreneur or you have a virtual assistant or a team of dietitians, you will need to employ some basic time management tactics. As you grow in your business, you'll need to hone in on those tactics and get even better at your foundational level of time management. Because time management doesn't get easier as you grow in your business and even work towards scaling. Time management becomes more challenging. And if and when you choose to run a group practice or employ other people in your practice, even if you're running a membership and you have a team helping you with automations and other aspects with marketing, you're going to have to learn how to manage other people. And you can't do that until you learn how to manage yourself. If you're wondering how do business owners get free time, well, the answer is by employing great time management tactics. Now, if you're new to learning about time management, you can start with some basic foundations and then work up with time, because there's a lot of reflection that goes into improving your time management skills. I'm going to give you a list of about 8 things to keep in mind. And if you can even choose 1 or 2 for now, and then watch this video again in a month, and then choose 2 more tactics that you can improve on, because these skills are buildable with time. What's a struggle for most of you dietitians is the consistency piece. And that's how we help you in our company, Dietitian Boss, through our membership and even our high-level mastermind programs, is through that accountability and community to make sure that you're following the frameworks from the Dietitian Boss method to employ great time management tactics, among other things. The first suggestion is to group items by project or task. So what that can mean is that if you're doing administration, now that's an easy example, and you're, let's say, replying to emails or something that invoicing, typically things of that nature, instead of doing those tasks all throughout the day, which is very common when you're first starting, you want to pick a certain time of the day, maybe 8 a.m. or noon, depending on your schedule, where you're grouping those tasks. And it might be hard to be disciplined and to only execute those functions at a certain time. That will help you free up your time and your headspace to focus on other activities in the business, especially those that are revenue generating. Secondly, you want to create a schedule, and in this schedule, you do want to, of course, have flexibility, but you should have some ideas of what you're doing in the day. Maybe you'll decide you want to use a certain day for certain activities. Here at Dietitian Boss, we focus on seeing our clients on Tuesdays. That's a client day, and Monday is an internal day for meetings and teams. So we do our team meeting, our all-team meeting. We do instructor meetings on Mondays, and we focus Tuesdays on clients. I also use Tuesdays to create content. So I've got themed days for days of the week, but also my company, we all follow it together, and it creates real great harmony within the company. We are working towards a 4-day work week, and so the more strategic we are about how we structure our days now will help us support working towards that goal of becoming a 4-day work week, which you can do as well, and feel inspired by how other practitioners and business owners are doing that, and they're really executing a 4-day work week. The third tip is to plan for distractions, and this is actually one of the number one reasons that people struggle with time management are the numerous distractions that we face. So one thing I like to do is put my phone on either airplane mode, or they're on the Apple, they're on the iOS function, you can do focus, and so you can put certain people in the category. So maybe you want to have an emergency contact, maybe that would be, let's say you have someone in your company or maybe a family member, and you will allow their calls to go through, but everybody else is funneled to voicemail. And doing that is going to help you eliminate distractions. And if your phone's not causing a lot of distractions, but it's social media, there are apps that can limit your use, or you can also practice that first tactic I mentioned where you're blocking certain times of the day where you're checking social media. And that's easier said than done. And if you're able to focus those times when you're checking social and engaging, that will help you limit distractions from checking mindlessly throughout the day. Fourth tip is to dive into deep work. Now, this is one of my favorite topics, and if you're interested in me going into this more in another video, let me know by commenting below. Deep work is when you're really able to focus on the task at hand. For me, I love to spend a lot of time and energy for deep work when it comes to designing and updating the curriculum found within the Dietitian Boss Method. So the Dietitian Boss Method is a step-by-step framework aimed to help you start and grow a 6- and 7-figure virtual company with digital products. And so every single step framed out has a lot of details, and there's measurables, benchmarks, objectives. So that whole process of designing the curriculum is very iterative. I've been working on it for 5 years, and I like to take deep focused work without distractions where I'm working on the curriculum on a very regular basis. For you, your deep work might be designing your program, or you are focusing on your ideas about your plans and your goals in your business, and you're not sure yet, and you want to take some time to think about that. So whatever activity you consider deep work, making sure you're distraction free and focusing a chunk of time to give yourself and dedicate that time for deep work will help you improve as a practitioner, and you'll improve your business skills as well. The fifth tip is to keep your priorities in check with to-do lists. This is also very challenging because prioritization is a very challenging skill that's learnable and it's teachable, but I get a lot of resistance from you when it comes to prioritization. So what I say for dietitians is to focus on revenue generating tasks, and that's another way of saying prioritize. So you don't want to be spending too much time on admin. Of course, we need to all focus on admin, whether we're doing the admin or we're delegating someone else in our company to do admin work, such as invoicing and replying back to some emails. But the idea is that you're aware of what's a priority in your business. And this is a big topic because priorities can bleed into how you're setting your goals, how you're executing the day-to-day functions of the business, and how your mindset is focusing as well. So you want to make sure that you're prioritizing and you're using a list to check off what you're doing and focusing on, and your tasks should complement your overall goal in the business. The sixth tip is time blocking, and that's one of my favorite things to do. So you have a section of the day where you're focusing on certain tasks. So that might mean in the mornings you're blocking off certain time for client calls. In the afternoons you're blocking off time for social media. So you can adjust time blocking that fits your schedule and modify based on how you feel after following that schedule for a certain amount of time. The seventh tip is to separate daily and weekly planning. So on a certain day where you've pulled out your checklist and your to-do list based on priorities, you want to plan your day, but you also want to plan out your entire week. And you might need to make adjustments for both. Maybe you plan too much per day, or you didn't plan enough for the week. So it's an iterative process where you're looking at how was your day structured, how was your overall week structured, and then if you step back, you also want to look at how your quarter is structured and how your year is structured. But let's start with the daily, weekly planning to hone in on what you can adjust to make sure you're prioritizing. The last tip is recognizing your distractors. And I feel like I said that a little bit earlier, but being really mindful, what is it that is taking away your concentration? So for many of us, it is social media. For others of us, it's our phone. Whatever that distraction might be, finding a way to eliminate or minimize that distraction will help you get more important work done, therefore grow your business. So as far as the question, how do you schedule your day as a business owner? I do have another video I'll link at the end about a day in the life for me that I recorded about 8 months ago, so you can watch that. Scheduling your day is going to be based on priorities. Again, you want to practice the time management tactics that I just mentioned, even if you're just implementing 1 or 2 of them. So right now for me, a typical day, in the mornings, I dedicate to deep work. I don't do client calls. For an exception, there might be 1 day or 2 days out of the month where I'll do early client calls to accommodate those that need to work with me earlier in the day. But I do block off 95% of the mornings for deep work. That is writing building out and editing and modifying the curriculum, recording YouTube videos, and activities that take more of my concentration. Later in the day, I will do calls with team meetings, with clients, and then also with my peers or any kind of learning experience, because my team and I get coached and we focus on learning and development in the company so we can grow as well. The same way that we preach that to you, we practice what we preach, and we're constantly learning and growing. Now that division of the day for me helps me focus so that in the morning I'm getting the most high energy tasks done with limited, if any, distractions. And then later in the day is when I am doing all the phone calls. And that works really well for me. And those phone calls later in the day also would include sales activities. You might be wondering, how can social media be used to manage your time? The best tip I can give is to have a plan. And I already mentioned tactically how to do that. So when I gave a tip for time management, one of them was to evaluate your daily schedule and your weekly schedule. And looking at those together, you can identify, what did I overdo? What do I need to do more of? How can I identify my priorities? In the Dietitian Boss Method, I've created a 7-step strategy for any platform. And this strategy is to help you grow with content. In the 7-step strategy, I want to explain briefly how it works, but it all starts with you having a plan. So firstly, you see at the top that says goals. What is your goal? And if you're not sure, use some time for deep work, as I mentioned, to block out some time and think about what your goals are. It's okay if you don't know. It's okay if you're going to change. And maybe have an idea of 20% of what you want. For example, some of our clients' goals include creating a side business where I'm able to make $1,000 a month. Others of our clients say, I want to get a few clients a month. Others of our clients say, I want to create a 6-figure business, right? So thinking about what that looks like is a great way for you to use your deep work time, but you do need a goal. And then after you have that goal, the next piece of the strategy would be to ask yourself, why? Why do you have this goal? What does this mean to you? And when you're putting content out on social media, why are you posting this type of content? And why does this content function to support your goal? Meaning you're using calls to action, you're using your content to build brand awareness, but also to get folks to want to buy your products and services. The next step would be pains. So I talk about pains and frustrations a lot. In marketing, that's a term to indicate what are the struggles and issues holding your ideal clients back from reaching their goals. So their pains might be that they have misinformation, they don't know what to eat, or maybe they're insecure, they don't feel very good about themselves. So whatever the pains are of your unique audience, you want to make sure that's showcased in your social media strategy. The next tip would be differentiation. Now that's one of the pillars of the Dietitian Boss Method. Differentiation is important because if you don't stand out from the next practitioner in your space, somebody's not going to choose you. They're not going to know how you're different from the next person. There's a lot of different ways to differentiate, but you always want to keep in mind, how is what I'm doing unique from the next person when I'm putting myself out there on social media? The 5th step would be management, having some way of managing yourself, which I already went over earlier, 8 time management tactics, and those are all examples of how you can manage yourself better, because if you don't have some basic sense of management, it's going to be really hard to be consistent. Now that management might look like using a scheduling app, it might look like finding a certain part of the day every day when you're posting consistently. I've shared this before when I first started my business in my clinical office. At 4:30 on the dot every day is when I would post on social and engage for 30 minutes. That's how I started this business. Go on social, talk about pains and frustrations the dietitians had, engage with them, and that was it. 30 minutes a day, 4:30 on the dot. And so that's an example of using that time blocking tactic to figure out that consistency. Monday through Friday, I was there. And then my business built from there, but that was the first step. And then the next piece would be format. So format for any content platform, you could use this framework for email marketing as well as for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. So for the format piece is what type of format am I going to use? More specifically, if we're on Instagram, we're using the format of reels, carousels, still image. So thinking about how you want to display the information that you're sharing that discusses the pain points of your ideal clients. And then finally, channel. Which channel are you using? Are you using email marketing? Are you focusing on Instagram? Are you focusing on Facebook? Whatever you choose, this 7-step content strategy, which is a framework from the Dietitian Boss Method that I've created, should be a guide for you. So I've shared with you the tactics of time management, 8 time management tactics, and now you can use those tactics as you're executing a strategy. Again, remember the first step is knowing what your goal is. So how you can use social media to manage your time includes getting a basic sense of what your strategy is, starting with those 7 steps and thinking about how you can take action by following 1 or 2 time management tactics. And I don't want you to worry about perfectionism, because that holds a lot of folks back from getting consistent on any media platform such as Instagram or even email marketing. Additionally, focus on 1 tool at a time. And so we don't want you in the Dietitian Boss method focusing on 12 things at once or focusing on multiple media platforms. So the idea is this strategy, the 7-step strategy, should be used for 1 media channel at a time. Either Instagram or podcasting or Facebook or email marketing. Once you have a basic sense of what you're doing for, let's say, 30 days and you've been consistent, then you can move on. So typically it'll take our clients 30 or 60 days to get a decent sense of one media platform or channel before they move on to the next one. So we're not trying to overwhelm. We're also not trying to make perfect content. The idea is to be consistent. And then the next piece of advice I have when it comes to managing your time with social media, it would be to set a time limit. And it's really important to do this so that you're not, again, going back to time management, you're not spending hours on social. You're getting in there, you're being strategic, you're engaging with your ideal clients, you're posting consistently, and then you're hopping off for the day, because social media is a tool. And if you spend a lot of time scrolling and you spend a lot of time not focusing on business, then you're using this tool more as a social tool and less as a business tool. So you want to think about using social media as a business tool as much as possible, specifically Instagram. And then turn off notifications, of course, and then scheduling new content posts, scheduling ahead of time and thinking about how you can not create content the day of, but think of creating content ahead for anything, whether it's email marketing. This goes for any media channel. Email marketing for your newsletters. This goes for Instagram. If you're able to plan ahead and follow the 7-step strategy, you'll be not only using time management tactics, but you'll also be using social media more strategically. Now, you can follow this framework even if you're a beginner. It might take you a little longer. It might take you 6, 9, 12 months. And that's okay, because what's important is that you're being consistent and you're not getting stuck on that perfectionism. Now, if you are interested in learning more about a day in the life of how I use the time management tactics to grow and scale this business, I want you to check out this next video on the screen. And if you're also interested in learning a little more about social media because you want to figure out how you can use the time management tactics I've shared to implement it, to execute in your business, and I want you to check out this other video I've got about how you can use social media to get clients. We'll see you next time.